What do you think? In what respect has the interim management market changed in 2020, the demand for interim managers? What's your view on this?
We at Nordic Interim have seen an increased demand throughout the autumn, and we have seen a few different types of demand. We have clients working to realign their strategy, understanding what parts is valid and what parts needs to be changed. We have clients facing the new normal and having to implement adjustment and restructuring type of initiatives. And we have some clients that have been able to capitalize on new opportunities as a result of the pandemic. Overall, I think the uncertainty we are seeing is creating an increased focus on the short-term perspectives.
Yeah, and I would just add that when this whole pandemic began to really unfold, we, as a company that provides a lot of different types of interim leaders, it could be finance folks, it could be HR people, strategy, operations. We really were facing something we had never seen before. We didn't know if clients and companies were going to be looking to just shed everybody that was coming from outside the organization. There was just so much upheaval and uncertainty almost overnight. And to me, as we sort of now look back on it, it was the perfect situation where interim leaders could make a big impact because there was so much uncertainty, and you just needed steady hands that could come in and sort of guide you through these very difficult times. And it was crisis management, and some places were doing great. I mean, if they were making, anything related to life sciences or food, or all of a sudden they had twice the demand they could handle. So we helped clients that were struggling, and also we helped clients who were really doing great. All of a sudden overnight they had massive new demand, and that's also very difficult to deal with.
We have seen a quite even demand cross industry. It's more a question of what type of demand there has been, depending on how heavily impacted the industry has been by the pandemic. What I think is the common denominator is that there has been a lot of change initiatives, and our clients also don't have time for time-consuming recruiting processes or for internal skills development. We see clearly that they are looking for tested and proven solutions that can be deployed quickly.
Yeah, and in the US, one of the most critical things that we've been doing for clients is really around supply chain. A lot of work in looking at supply chains. They're just a mess in the logistics and transportation. And then a lot of work in plant operations and manufacturing, just depending. We're not doing work for the big car companies right now, but again, there's a lot of organizations that all of a sudden have a lot more demand, and that changes everything they have to do with their operational facilities. So I would say that manufacturing in certain parts, definitely food and chemical businesses, certainly life sciences, and then Patina does a fair amount of work in healthcare. And that really fooled us this year because we thought that was going to be such a huge sector. But as soon as COVID was hitting and spreading in the US, all of a sudden, all the regular healthcare stuff really sort of took a dive, and everything got so focused on COVID. So it's been an interesting year, but now we're starting to see more demand as people say, look, we still have to do surgeries and procedures. And there's just been a lot of turmoil and change in healthcare leadership. But those are probably the biggest areas and industries that we've focused on this year.
CEOs, business owners all over the world, what should they do now if they are willing to build a business strategy that's sustainable for the years ahead?
Look for opportunities. There are certainly a lot of opportunities that are presenting themselves given what's happening and all the turmoil in the market. And then I'm just a firm believer that's the business we're all in, but it's also really important to stay agile, adaptable, and flexible. And this is a perfect time to really look at bringing in resources that you can utilize. They bring the know-how and the experience, and then when that finite situation is taken care of or resolved, then those resources can go away. That's just a smart way to run a business anyway, and especially today.
I agree, and there's many components that are required for a successful business strategy, but when it comes to skills and competence, and with the background of our technology change and pace of innovation and demographic change and these uncertainties that we have as a result of the pandemic, I think companies will go through phases where demand for skills will shift more frequently. And I would highlight two things. I think most or all companies need to work with their internal continuous learning processes and culture actively. And I think embracing external solutions such as executive interim management to ensure you have the right skills at the right time.